Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Post in Black, where we celebrate Black excellence behind the lens. We have an incredible episode for you today. We have the Senior Vice President of Production, Integration, and Creative Technology Services for Warner Brothers Discovery and the President of the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. Wow. Renard T. Jenkins, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it, man.
That's incredible. I mean, just reading those titles, I got to be honest with you. I've never sat down with a president, and I'm feeling royalty in the building.
I've never been a president, so I've been vice, I've been co, I've been all kinds of things, but never been a president. So yeah, this is a big move.
It's awesome. Obviously, we're watching online. For those of us who are watching online, we're here at Dr. Self Tape in Los Angeles. And we also, those of you listening, we're in Black History Month. It's raining in LA. It's winter. You made it through the storm. So we appreciate you coming out to join us.
Yeah, I've been joking with everybody that I brought a little bit of East Coast weather. Trying to help my home state out with the drought situation. So.
Yeah, and somehow we're still lacking water with all the rain we got. So it's crazy. You're familiar with the show, so we're going to get into that and find out where you live, where you're from and all that. But we want to jump in with an icebreaker. When you were growing up, you talk about, where your home state, California. When you were growing up, who was the person that told you the best stories? If you could remember, was it a teacher? Was it a grandparent, parent? Who told you the best stories that stuck with you or gave you the best advice that stuck with you to now?
You know what, I have to, that's actually an easy one for me. I think my youngest uncle, who is only 10 years older than me, because my grandparents had 8 children. They started having children in the 40s, took a little bit of break, and then had 4 more in the 50s.
Wow.
And I came along in the 60s. So he's only 10 years older than me, but he's probably one of the best storytellers that you ever want to meet. He's 6'9". He was about 6'10", 6'11" when he played ball. He played ball at Alcorn State. He was, just a standout forward. And he just has a way of making you laugh, making you think, pulling you in. He's always been like, my uncle / older brother.
Yeah.
But he's been my guy, my hero.
That's all right. Did that kind of make you a good storyteller, you feel like, as well?
I think so.
Pick up something from him?
Yeah, I think so. But what a lot of people don't know about me, and I'm starting to tell people now, is that I actually was selectively mute pretty much until the 3rd grade.
Wow.
So I would listen a lot. I was really an active listener. I listened, I read, I heard, but I would only speak to my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, and a few other family members, when I felt the urge. But for the most part, I was totally introverted. I wanted to be, like by myself and wanted to kind of have my own thing. I'm an only child, so I was comfortable with just me. I don't know if it made me a better storyteller, but my mother said when I started to talk, she couldn't stop me when it came to talking to her. She said she couldn't stop me. So that's kind of my little journey.
That's all right. Yeah. That's hilarious because my mom used to say that when I got the progress reports in elementary school, they said needs to talk more. And then I told her, like in middle school, I was like, I'm going to be an actor. And she said, well, you have to talk, right? You have to actually use words. And my elementary school teachers probably now are like, what? That guy is in front of the camera. But very, very, very cool in that way. You talked about first when you talked about the drought and the rain here in LA, your home state. Where are you from? You're from California?
Yeah, the Bay Area will always be home for me. Yes, I tell people, no matter where I roam, the Bay Area is home.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I've lived on the East Coast for a very long time now. Finished high school and college there, married an East Coast girl.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yes, sir.
So she's not letting me come home anytime soon.
Oh, it's all right. No, we know, we know Dan and my brother and I are from the East Coast, but we got love for California, and we definitely got love for the Bay, for sure. Right, so
well, I'm in your area now. I'm in the Maryland DMV
area. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. That's all right. Good place. I say I'm an East Coast boy, West Coast man. So I love visiting, but I'm here now.
All right. There you go.
But we talking Post in Black, and obviously we have you here for a reason, because we can start where you started from here in the West Coast, but you have now amassed those titles, and I want to jump like right to it before I go back to where you started.
Okay.
What is the day-to-day I guess, responsibility of PIC. So where you said you worked in, and then even being the president of the Society of Motion Pictures Television Engineers. Can you talk about your everyday, your day-to-day schedule?
Day to day at Warner Brothers, it's really focused on making sure that technology is there for productions.
Okay.
And the goal is to make technology transparent for the productions. We don't want it to be a hindrance. We don't want it to be a burden. We want to make it so easy, because if we can make it easy for them, that allows them to have more time to be creative. I tell people often that time is the currency of my department. If we can give you more time, that's what we will do. And by us hopefully giving you more time, we save on the back end. So our job sits between productions and the studios. And oftentimes those two organizations don't necessarily have the same goal. You know, production is about creativity. It's about creating something that no one else has ever seen and putting something out in the world that is just new, fantastic, and draws you in. The studio, while they love that side of the business too, but they also have to be more focused on the business side of the business, which means that they're going to be looking at, okay, how can we make sure that we don't go above budget? How can we make sure that our timelines are not getting out of control? How can we deliver on time? How can we make sure that we're able to distribute to every, conceivable viewing option that our customers have? Those two things don't necessarily work together all the time. So when they don't, my job and my team's job is, okay, let's figure out a way that we can help the productions to not be hindered and to be flexible and agile as they can be and be as creative as they can be. And then let's turn around and see how we can make that more efficient and more costly. I mean, not costly, but more costless.
Cost effective. Yeah, for sure.
for the studios. And so we kind of try and work that balance as best we can.
That sounds really really cool. I mean, just in layman's terms, you know what I mean? Like, because it's so interesting getting into the nitty gritty. And you see those titles, like when I first, saw your name pop up and I was just doing my own research, I was like, wow, there's a lot in there. And I think I know what this is, but I don't know. But you just explained it pretty well. Yeah. How does one even get started into that? How do you even get into that field? Because to your credits, you have, Peabody Award, Emmys, you know what I mean? Like you've done a lot of work and amassed some really nice awards. But specifically, how do you get started and to get to where you are now? What was that like?
Well, first of all, I like to make sure that I tell everybody the awards that I have, most of the awards that I have, it's a team effort. Yeah. It really is a team effort. And we have done those things together. And I have, I feel good about the fact that throughout my career, I've been able to help grow people and help build teams and help really kind of move things forward. Yeah. I hope that I have left each place, better than I found it, and that they can continue to move forward. So I always like to make sure that I acknowledge that, this whole thing is a team effort.
Yeah, for sure.
And now there are some individual accolades, and I appreciate those, and that's great. But I focus really on the fact that I'm a leader, and I enjoy leadership, but I enjoy also creating growth paths for people and helping them get to where they really need to be. I mean, that to me, that's like the best part of my job, when I have like an intern or someone who I've, maybe promoted or something like that. They come back to me years later to tell me the stuff that they're doing. Yeah. And to see where they've grown, that just blows my mind. Man. And I love that. I love that. That to me is almost more important than sort of all the other stuff that I'm doing.
Right. Got you. No, to make sure. Yeah.
So when we think about like, how did I get started? I got started like, anybody else. I was a unpaid PA running around a film set, doing whatever they told me to do. And I loved it. But, the earlier story is I fell in love with cameras as a kid. Wow. I mean, I was a little kid. I was grabbing my mother's Polaroid, her Instamatic, whatever it was. I was trying to create things in a visual way. If I wasn't taking pictures, I was, kind of drawing flip books. Back when I was growing up there, you take a little book of paper and you draw little stick people and you make, each move, they made a little move. Right. And I would do that and animate it for myself. Like I said, I was a kid who enjoyed being by himself. Right. And so I would focus on that kind of stuff. And, but I also loved marine biology.
Oh, wow.
And so I was really into like Jacques Cousteau and really digging, like when those specials came on, I was in front of the television.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
I was not, you know, because back then we could ride our bicycles until the lights came on and we could do all kinds of stuff.
Outside.
But when Jacques Cousteau was coming on, I came home early. I wanted to be in front of the television. I didn't want to miss anything. And I used to say to my mother, I said, I'm going to be the Black Jacques Cousteau. I'm going to be the Black Jacques Cousteau. And so when I went to college to be a marine biologist.
Wow.
And it was interesting because I had a high school teacher who taught marine biology.
Yeah.
Who, let's just say, moving from California to the South was an awakening. And that teacher did not necessarily want to pour that time and effort into someone who looked like me. But I studied because I loved it.
Yeah.
And I continued to thrive in spite of, you know, sort of not getting the same attention that some of my peers got. But I went to college to do it anyway. And you know, I got to college, I loved it. But what I found was every time that we were doing anything, I often was the one with the camera in my hand. I had a camera in my hand. I had a recorder. I was taking notes. I was doing all those things, but it was really more so about telling the story of what we did. And much to the chagrin of my stepfather, not so much my mother, but my stepfather, my senior year, right before my senior year, I changed my major. I was just like, you know what? I love this, but I think this other thing is what's calling me and pulling me. And you know when you kind of get in the flow of your purpose, because all of a sudden things start happening. So as soon as I changed my major, I got, you know, my first offer to go and pull cable for a golf tournament. For a little network that was just starting to do sports called ESPN. And so I was running around pulling cable for some of the probably most well-known camera and photographers in the day, you know, back then.
Yeah.
These guys were top notch because they were sort of sharing some of the ABC Sports talent.
Yeah.
You know, so you remember Wild World of Sports.
Yeah,
you know,
for
you
sure.
know, they got the shots. The only people that I think got better shots than them was probably NFL Films.
Yeah.
You know, but ABC Sports was like it.
That was the one. Yeah.
And so working with those folks, I started to learn, man. And they were so open to just teach me, you know, to show me and to, you know, say, hey man, you know, here, grab this camera. Let me show you something. You know, say, we know you love audio. We know that's where you want to be, but hey, take a look at this, man. Check this out. And so it got me a love of across the board. And so I just started saying, you know what? I want to learn everything. I just want to learn everything. I don't want to kind of tie myself into a corner.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I just started learning everything. I was open to learning. I was working with the best at the time, and then they were giving me an opportunity to go out and explore things.
Right. I mean, you touched on a lot of different things there. I'm going to say two things. First of all, shout out to the uncle for the storytelling, because I know, I see it. It's I'm hanging on to every word.
Oh, he's a good brother.
Yeah,
he's a good brother.
And then, you know, the type of leadership that you're talking about and the way you describe. I mean, are you hiring? Because I would work for you. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I hope to be hiring in the next few months.
I hear that, because I mean, the way you're talking about creating paths and leading people is incredible, and I think it's really important. I think it's inspiring for me listening, and hopefully to the listeners and people that are viewing, because seeing a black man in this position with that opportunity and, you know, quotations power to be able to do that is really awesome, and it's something that we don't see. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're talking about Posting Black, but just Black excellence behind the scenes in general. You know, that start, you know, pulling cable to some of your other positions, even working as an editor. What about those positions that you did early on, do you feel like created you know, that excellence in you, or, you know, in terms of like, I want to say just your purpose, as you say. What about those early positions helped you, you know, find that purpose even more? This was like speaking to you, like, oh, this is it. Oh, then that led to the next domino.
I think for me, it was about the fact that there were so many people who were open to helping me and to, you know, back in the day, it was really like an apprenticeship type thing for you to get into this business. You know, someone almost had to sponsor you to get you on a set or to do those types of things. And a lot of those guys and women, you know, because at that time women were more of like the production coordinators and kind of dealing with that. I didn't see as many women who were on the tech side. Now you do,
right?
You know, now they're out there, you know, and they're doing their thing. But the men that were helping me along that time, and then the women who were hiring me, you know, they saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself. And that taught me to look for that in others.
Okay.
So you know, that's where I started to learn that, you know what, if you can help somebody, you know, all you're doing is setting it up for the next person.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to do, you know, set it up for the next person. If I can come through this door, then I want to make sure I leave the door open. I don't want to close it behind me.
Right.
So I want to make sure that that's what I'm doing for others, because that's what happened. You know, individuals gave me an opportunity. I took that opportunity and I learned and I grew and I said, you know what, I'm going to research this. I'm going to be the best that I can be at this particular thing.
Right.
And it was about being the best that I could be. And once I got to a certain level, I would say, okay, cool, I got this. What's next?
Yeah.
And then there was always someone standing there to say, oh, what's next? Well, come over here. Let me show you what's next. And that hunger and that drive to learn and to grow, those were the things that got me, you know, really interested in staying in this business.
Right.
Because for me, if I'm not moving, you know, even now, you know, at this age, if I'm not moving, I quickly get bored. And if I get bored, I'm going to start looking for the next gig.
Next opportunity.
You know, I'm interested in continuous growth.
Yeah.
It's all about continuous growth for me, and continuing to learn constantly.
Yeah.
You know, my wife gets so upset with me because she's an early riser, but she goes to bed early. So, you know, around 8 o'clock, her eyes are starting to get heavy.
Oh, man.
And for me, around 8 o'clock, I'm like cracking open the books.
Yeah, you ready?
You know,
to get
I'm
going.
like, okay, I finished all the stuff that I had to do for the day. I finished what I needed to do for Warner Brothers. I've kind of finished answering all of my SMPTE questions and you know, and all of the things that go along with that, working with the sections and all of that stuff. Now it's time for me, and it's my time, and my time is all about learning. So, you know, I'm up, you know, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, reading and learning and seeing what's next, what's coming on the horizon. How do I work that into media and entertainment and into production? And where does it fit? And I'm getting yelled at by my wife to like turn the light off.
Turn that off, because I got 3 more hours till I'm up.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're touching on a lot of different things, and I think one thing that stood out to me is, like you said, you know, being a change, you know, like change maker, and like leaving the place better than what you found it as. In the industry, you know, in production, post-production, there's not many people of color that we see, or that are highlighted, I should say, behind the scenes. They're there, but you may show up to a job in your position and be the only, you know, black person, whether man or woman, whatever it is. And can you talk about why it's important for you to be in the position you are, and what changes need to be made, I guess, to sort of affect? I mean, we do Post in Black, we do these interviews. People have told us countless times how they watched an episode and didn't know that person was there, or they're like, oh, I didn't know this person. I didn't know them until I watched your show. And you know, my brother and I, Tatiana, our producer, we're always like, wait, you guys don't know each other? All of you are doing like these different shows and working on different projects, but they're never in the same room. Can you talk about that process and what it's like, you know, from your perspective?
Man, to be honest, it is a weird dichotomy in this industry, in the sense that it's a very small industry. And I often say that it's more like a club than like a full industry. However, we are so federated and dispersed across, you know, all of these different verticals and these different disciplines, that it's very easy for us to be the only person in that far off little corner. And we may never meet this other person, you know, and, you know, we talked about how I met Eric Johnson. You know, we met because we looked across the room and there was only me and him who looked like each other. And we were at a conference for, a big manufacturer who we were both working with, and we were talking to their leaders all the time.
Yeah.
And then he and I got together and we said, hey, you know what? We need to stay in touch. And so we did that. And then if you go across, the rest of my career, that's kind of the way it's happened. I've met people on sets. I did music videos back in the, mid 90s when it was really hot, down in Atlanta. There was, So Def, LaFace, Arista, Roddy Records, everything was happening right there. And so I was in the mix of what was happening there for sort of the black culture and everything.
That was it.
The Dirty South was rising in the hip hop game at that point. So I was in the right place at the right time. And because of my film background, I could get in, I could do some fun stuff, I could have a really good time. And I met people.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, there's a brother that I met on a music video. He was doing lighting and I was doing sound. And he found out that I was a DJ. And so his birthday was coming up and he said, hey, can you DJ my birthday party? So I DJ'd his birthday party. We had a good time. Everybody was, everything. He was like, yo, man, I was loving it. In the midst of all these people still spinning disc and all this stuff, he was spinning real vinyl. And I was like, yeah, that's what I grew up on. So that's what I know. And that's what I love. And his name is Christian Epps. Now, Christian Epps was also a lighting director on Selma.
Oh, wow.
Christian Epps works very closely with Ava DuVernay and the folks within her world.
Wow.
And then I look at all of this, and there's a young lady named Angel, and she is a director who works under Ava's team as well, where Ava kind of gave her an opportunity. She had her first film, her first feature about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
Okay. So now Christian ended up being one of the lighting directors on her film and on the stuff that she did. She just won an NAACP Image Award last year for one of the episodes of Colin in Black and White.
Wow.
So Angel used to sit outside my office in DC when I was working at Discovery.
Yeah.
I should say Discovery the first time
Right.
because apparently I worked for Discovery again. They just showed back up in my career one day, And so Angel used to sit outside and she would talk about being a director. She was focused on being a director. So it's really cool to see where Angel has come. And then all of a sudden, to be joking around with Christian on Facebook and all of a sudden Angel responds.
Man.
And then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You and Christian know each other, and Christian's like, yeah, I got her. Don't worry about it. I'm taking care of her.
I got it.
And Angel is telling me like, yeah, he's looking out for me. He's my guy.
That is crazy.
So it's like I said, it's this weird thing about this industry where it's really, really small, and sometimes you can feel totally alone, but then you have those sort of moments where you see it all come together, and it's really, really cool to see where people who told you about their dreams are living it now.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
That's fire.
They're living it. And it's really, I tell kids whenever I speak to young people, I'm like, it's a dream for you right now, but I'm telling you, if you keep at it, if you keep working towards it, if you keep working your craft, if you keep learning, that moment and that opportunity is going to come. And when it comes and you walk through that door, you are going to be blown away by what you actually get to experience. I tell people all the time, I grew up, there was only probably one person that I ever said I would be starstruck to meet, and that was Muhammad Ali. To me, growing up at the time I did, to see a black man stand up for what he believes in and not budge, no matter what the consequences were. He wasn't worried about money. He wasn't worried about fame. He was simply worried about, I'm going to do what my faith tells me to do.
Right.
And this is what I believe, and this is where I'm going to go. That was not a popular thing then.
No.
And I remember in 1999 when I got the opportunity to meet him, I walked in his house. We were setting up for an interview. And I'm doing my thing, and I'm focused on the sound. I'm getting things ready, trying to make sure we don't have a bunch of echoes, trying to really make the house sound as tight as I possibly could.
Right.
And he started walking down the stairs. And I just saw him walk down the stairs, and I froze.
Man.
I just froze, and I was like, that's Muhammad Ali. And he came over, and it's a funny thing about him because all of these people were around, and he just looked at me, and he said, Joe Frazier's in my house. And I said, hey, wait a minute, man. You call me Joe Frazier? I said, you said Joe Frazier, like I just automatically said, you said Joe Frazier was ugly, man. You said Joe Frazier looked like a gorilla. You called me Joe Frazier. And he was like, yeah, I call you Joe Frazier. and I said, oh, okay. So I'm going to tell you right now, I have no problem fighting an old man. I will fight you. And he just smiled with this big smile on his face. He came over, he shook my hand, and he hugged me. And that was the beginning of us just spending the next few days clowning each other laughing at each other and enjoying each other's like company. And I called my mother when I got home.
Yeah.
I got back to the hotel. I called my mother and I said, I met Muhammad Ali. And I had met everybody by then. I had met all kinds of people by then.
Yeah.
And I would never call home and be like, oh, I met someone.
Right.
I called my mother and I met Muhammad Ali. And she said, did you cry? I said, I didn't cry. What's wrong with you? And I said, no, but I said, she said, I know. She said, that's your hero, that's your guy. And I said, yeah, I met him, and he's really, really cool. And to this day, I still have his number in my phone. Like I won't delete his number out of my phone. Yeah. Because it was just such a moment to meet him.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
But it's really about what this career can offer you.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, he's just a human being, but to me,
no, for sure,
he stood for more than that. Like he gave me a reason to like kind of walk with my head up. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna walk with my shoulders slumped over or put my head down. My mother wouldn't allow that anyway. She wasn't that kind. Mm-hmm. It was like, when you walk out of my house, you hold your head up. You are just as good as anybody else. Mm-hmm. And if anybody tells you that you're not, those aren't the people you need to be around.
Yes, sir.
You find somewhere else to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I was raised.
Right.
So I walk with my head up. I walk in a room as if, you know what? I belong.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a hard time with that. Mm. But the truth is, you belong wherever you are and wherever you want to be. That's the true meaning of freedom for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell everybody. Come in the room, be ready to work, own the room. It's not about arrogance. It's not about coming in and saying I'm the greatest and all of this kind of stuff. It's really about coming in the room and saying, you know what? I belong here because of my talent. I belong here because of my skill, because of my intelligence. I belong here if I'm just here to learn. Mm-hmm. I still belong.
Yeah.
So that for me is that, that's what I tell my daughters. That's what I tell my grandkids, Yeah. Hey, don't let anybody talk you down. Don't do it.
That's powerful. And I mean, this is incredible. Obviously, people that are listening, don't even know. Like this was we got together and were able to coordinate with you. Obviously, Eric Johnson, shout out to him for like just getting us together.
Yeah, he's the man.
We're definitely gonna have even part 2 with you. But even as we're getting towards the end, I want to ask you something that you said. You talked about the industry, how, oh man, it could be everything that you want. And, you can turn from your dreams into being the reality.
Yeah.
What are some things that you still feel like you want to see in the industry, versus in your, like maybe in your positions and your titles that you have, or even just in post from where you started and worked on in a few projects back in the day? What would you like to still see happen and change?
I think me being president of SMPTE,
right.
Hopefully that will inspire more people who look like me to get involved with the society. I want to see not just people who look like me, but I want to see other people of color. I want to see people of, all the protected classes really get involved and bring to SMPTE what they offer. I think I would love to see, somebody who looks like me running one of the 5 major studios. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I think there are plenty of mountains to climb. if I'm to be honest, I hope that one day we get to the point where there are no more firsts. There are no more firsts for us. We've done it all.
Yeah.
You know, we've hit every single thing.
Yeah.
I want us to get there. And when we get there, I want to make sure that we see a trail of others coming behind us. Really, really coming behind us, ready to step into those shoes. I tell people all the time, my job as a good manager is to look for good people, give them the opportunity to grow, and then to try my very best to make myself obsolete. Because when I move, someone can move in behind me, and hopefully somebody is moving out of the way so that I can move to that next level for me. Yeah. You know, that's what I want to see, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, I mean, that's incredible. I've been blessed with the opportunity to talk to a lot of different people, but I'm telling you, like I'm like a former athlete myself. I still am an athlete, but you know, I'm ready to run through a wall and just get going because you know, you talked about so many things. I got to go see the Academy Museum recently. And spend some time there.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, incredible, and just like the inspiration that I get to see from like who came before us.
Oh yeah,
and that's even the reason we're doing Posting Black. You know, I think the term is evergreen. You know, it's going to outlive us. You know, it's going to be here, you know, legacy that lives longer than we do.
Oh, well, thank you for doing it.
No, it's incredible. I've
been a fan since episode 1.
Oh man, no, we appreciate
episode
that.
1.
Yeah, and I, you know, shout out to my brother, you know, starting it as a blog, and then you know we started back up. So how can people keep in touch or keep to tabs on what you're doing? You know, aware of what you're doing, your social media, anything like that.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn is really probably the one that I'm most active on. Okay. But you know, I'm on Instagram as Earthtone Media.
Gotcha.
So you can find me there, and you'll see a few of my photography shots when I get a chance to go out and like just chill and do what I love. And then you kind of see all of the other stuff that's going on with me. You know, really and truly, I'm a family guy.
Yes, sir.
So you can see a lot of pictures of my family.
yeah, that's all right.
But yeah. So it's LinkedIn. You know, Renard T Jenkins, and you know, and it is Renard T Jenkins because there are other Renard Jenkins out there. But Renard T Jenkins, and then Earthtone Media.
Awesome.
That's me.
Awesome. No, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. It's just truly been a pleasure.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then for those of you tuning in, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Posting Black. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels. Make sure you click the link to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And we will see you next time on another episode of Posting Black. Stay black.